I was like, first they're not gonna stop. They were coming up from Saltwater Road, and they didn't
They did
stop.
not.
I was like, okay, let's go crazy.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the January 6, 2025 regular meeting of the Lyman Select Board. This meeting is a public proceeding and is being recorded. If everyone will join me for the pledge of allegiance.
Certainly. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so item number 1, we do not have any special offers or presentations tonight. We do not have any public in attendance, so I think we're good on public input. It's gonna be a fun meeting. Mail, we have the York County Sheriff Report, that's in the packet, also posted online for anyone that's interested in that. So we'll jump to item number 3, an unfinished business. I don't think we have any updates on the franchise agreement, Lindsay, no?
No.
All right, so then we will jump into a discussion about ADA ramps for Butternut Park.
All right, so I talked to Vicki a little bit, who recommended putting this on the agenda. I know the last week you guys gave a directive to the Butternut Committee, so they're working on developing a plan where to put the ramps and everything. They want to do it temporary, where somebody would have to put them in and then take them out every single year, which only requires a CEO permit. I did ask them if they're going to go the temporary route. They said that Parks and Recs would deal with it, but they need to map out a plan as to how that. I want it in writing,
Like who's gonna?
so that if there's a new Parks and Recs, it's not like, oh, we didn't know. Or the alternative is you can do permanent. It just requires planning board approval. So it's up to you guys, really. It's your town, it's the town's asset. You know, this is going to be for the benefit of the town. It's for future use. I've been down there a few times because of all the work going on at Butternut. There's a lot of activity in the winter, surprisingly. And I think people go down there, they actually go out into the water when it freezes.
Yeah.
So it might be beneficial to have the ramps be permanent if it's going to be for ADA
Well, and
access.
if we weren't, where would we store them?
And that's another question. It's
Yeah.
just I know they want to do temporary, and maybe just because the permitting is easier because you go through the CEO, but there's so many more logistics to it as to where do you put it? When are you going to put them in? When are you
How
going
do
to
you
take them out?
Yeah.
secure
Who's gonna
it
do
so that nobody
I think-
walks away with
I
it?
think that since it's this time of the year, we have time to ask them to go through the process to do it and make it permanent, because especially if it stays and people are gonna be using access to the ice
Mhm.
and whatnot, why, then they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we should go through the process.
I was just thinking what the relative cost would be, temporary as opposed to a permanent structure.
I don't think there's any cost that would be different other than what it costs to go through the planning board.
Well, we
Is
can
there-
waive that fee because we're not going to charge the taxpayer to pay it, but we're still going to go through the process the same as any resident or citizen would have to. And same with like CEO permitting, like she would waive the fee because we're not going to put that on the taxpayer. There is, so they consulted with the CEO who said, if you're temporary, you need a DEP permit and an NRPA permit and a permit from the CEO. If you're permanent, you need a DEP permit, an NRPA permit, and approval from the planning board. So that's the only difference between. They would just have to, like going by the zoning ordinance through shoreland, like they just have to mark out a sketch plan, which they started working on where they're going to potentially map them. And they just have to, like any site plan review, like you just show, here's the setbacks, here's the north bearing, like you just do the sketch plan. I'd have to look at the ordinance requirements, but they would just develop the plan that they're gonna submit to the planning board, go to the meeting, explain to them, this is what we're doing, and then go through the process just like anyone else.
I guess too, we'd have to find out how much the DEP permit would cost, because that would be a cost that we probably couldn't get waived.
No, you
That's the
can't get
state.
that waived, but that could come from the grant that we received. So I think, and they hadn't heard back from the dock company. There was a supposed discount being offered, but I don't know if they got confirmation of that. So if we did get a discount, then the extra money from that discount would be applied to the permitting fees. Like I know a PBR is $320.
Yeah.
An NRPA, I'm not sure.
Like per ramp or just like,
I
Hey,
believe
we're
we
gonna
could
do
do
this
all
little-
three.
okay,
As long as that we submitted them all on the plan
Yeah,
for
Right, okay.
approval, and we didn't change it up after the fact.
right.
yeah.
Whether it's temporary or permanent, DEP permit
Yes,
would be
that's-
required. But my concern there is the time that it would take for them to review and approve. But nothing to do about
The
that. you know,
DEP,
They're
I
usually,
did a PBR for the bridge we just did, and it took 8 days for them to get back.
they're
to me.
not that, they're
Yeah,
pretty
and-
expedient.
And with DEP, like if it's a PBR, it's a permit by rule, so if they don't respond within 14 days, it's approved. It's
Mhm.
considered approved, and that's written right in their DEP PBR rules. The only one I'm not as familiar with is the other one that Becca mentioned, which was the NERPA or the NRPA.
Yeah, I'm
That
not
one I'm
either.
not as familiar with.
Me either. I've done PBRs before.
Yeah, and I mean, we do have a person in DEP that we consult with, like, I'm sure if we say, hey, we're the town of Lyman, they might respond a little quicker.
Dave, you're in the box, so I can't see you, but I wanted to give you a chance to chime in if you had anything.
I think it makes sense to do it permanently. That way you don't have somebody that needs to pull them out. You know, from what I see down there with water being, 50, 75 feet away during the winter, I don't see an issue leaving them in. Just, spend the time and get the permit, leave them there.
Right.
I think we're all.
Yeah, I
in
would say unless they come
consensus.
forward with a strong argument, I mean, if there's something we're missing that they're gonna say, well, no, we were thinking that because of, I can't think of anything good right now. But if
Yeah.
they had some amazing reason, why not? Then I think we
Yeah.
would entertain it, but.
I mean, honestly, it
Barring
would
that.
probably, in terms of soil erosion, I think it would, now that I've seen how much activity is down there, like, it would help mitigate soil erosion. Just because I've seen a lot of people bring their dogs out there. So if they had access to that area, you're kind of furthering the protection of it year round.
Right. Right.
And Bugnut Committee is meeting Wednesday, the 15th, I believe.
Cool.
So we're all go with permanent.
Yep.
So I'll just email them and say we'd like to go the permanent route. And they can consult with the CEO on any planning board land use requirements, which they kind of already did, but.
Okay,
Fabulous.
awesome. Okay, moving along to item number 4, which is department and committee reports. Sorry, microphone. Yes, well, I don't know how that sounds on
Sorry,
YouTube.
microphone.
What? Okay. I'm moving along. We have Fire
Sorry.
Chief's All Hands newsletter. Yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add to that other than I
don't.
know we.
We are meeting this Thursday. We were gonna meet last Thursday, but Jared was traveling, and so we decided we would meet this Thursday. So I don't have anything new. Well, I think we're gonna start working on the budget.
Actually, just
Yeah, go ahead. I
one
think you
thing
can say
that was included in the report is that the fire department is distributing pails of salt and sand,
Oh, yeah.
50 donations from Home Depot for 5 buckets, and they're being distributed to folks in Dayton and Lyman to prevent falls. That's the thing.
Yes. And we discussed at the meeting too about that Lyman residents will get Lyman salt sand and Dayton residents will get Dayton salt sand. There will be no intermingling of the town's salt sand.
Sounds fantastic, Vicki. Thank you. Treasurer's expense report is also in there for people to
And
peruse at their leisure.
did you all notice how many incidences there was? That's
Yeah,
for the year end, it was 1,060.
Okay, yeah, I didn't look at the email.
I knew
saw it.
we were over
That's,
the,
I knew we were gonna go over 1,000 too. It's off of my number. I predicted 1,039, so I was way off by 21.
it's crazy. All right, we will move on to new business. Item A is to review and approve. We have a quote to remove some trees over at Bunganut. One is a pine tree leaning over the bridge, and one is an oak tree and poplar tree in front of the chapel.
So these were marked by the forester, when you hire the forester to go mark down the pines area, and they were marked as dangerous trees.
Okay.
They can be removed,
Okay,
so.
thank you for saying that.
Do you know if the removal of the trees, well, especially the ones in front of the chapel, does that include removing the stumps as well?
No.
Or
You
No.
can't remove the
No, you
stumps, yeah.
can you grind them down?
I think, yeah, you can.
If you can get close enough to them.
Yeah, you gotta leave
Okay.
There are a few stumps there that can be ground down in the pines themselves, that we can look at, after spring.
Yep, okay.
And what account would this not come out of?
So this can come out of the Bunganut Park Reserve, which does have a little over $2,000 remaining. Or you can consider, I don't think it can come out of capital improvement. The only other spot you can consider is we did budget $3,000 for tree removal. But that was for like storm damages that we've seen over the last couple of years where we never had any money to go clean up the trees. And I remember you guys kind of wanted to leave that alone just in case we have a massive storm and we need it.
So I'd rather take that out of the reserve account.
That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
I think it's a very fair price
Mhm.
for 3 trees to be removed, and that's taken down limb
Mhm.
and hauled away. They're not gonna stay on, it's not gonna stay on site.
Agreed.
But it doesn't say, that's why I'm asking.
No, it won't stay on site. They'll haul it away.
Whatever they can chip on site, they'll chip on site, leave it in a pile until we look at it in the spring to see where we can put the chips,
Okay.
the most beneficial spot.
How'd you know I was gonna ask that?
I can read your mind.
like you've been
That's a
to one-
scary thing.
It's like you've been to one of these meetings or something. Does anybody have a motion for that? That would include the funding source.
I'll make the
I'll make-
motion,
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
sorry, to approve the $1,150 for removal of trees in Bunganut Park by KCB Landscaping and the funds to come out of the Bunganut Park Reserve account.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Okay.
Bush?
All right, next up, we have item B, which is to review and approve the transfer station policy.
So a while back ago, Randy had asked me to develop a policy for the transfer station. He gave me one from Alfred to kind of reference some things. I think mostly it's just to help him with like when people go, sometimes he has to explain to them some of the rules and they don't always take it very kindly. You know, he wanted the stickers to be placed on their windshields on a certain location. It helps them be able to determine that, okay, this is a Lyman resident. And then some of it was just basic stuff. So this is what I drafted up. Randy did look it over. So he put his 2 cents on it, and this is what we came up with.
I think one thing that I like the way things are spelled out here, written up, except for under enforcement. The last sentence actually may result in denial of access to the facility. I'm not sure, being a public place, that we can exclude taxpayers from using their services. I'm just not sure about that.
It depends. I mean, if people put something up there and it causes a burden, right? So like if you put certain things in the recycling bin, EcoMaine is going to penalize the town for that. So if you have a habitual offender, like wouldn't you want to just be like, hey, we asked you to stop. This is costing the taxpayers money. I
Okay.
mean, we
I
can
think the
lighten it
word
up.
may is what covers us, right? Because it
Mhm.
doesn't say we're absolutely gonna do that, right?
Mhm.
I think it's just a matter of that word may gives us the opportunity. I would hope that either a conversation or some type of communication happens before we're just like, you're out of the transfer station for life.
Well, that was gonna be my next point, was like, there's no steps
Right.
to being maybe being kicked out in,
We can put steps in there,
The other thing I wonder about, and have thought about quite a bit, is the town of Lyman stickers that go to the transfer station, that perhaps, I just saw in the warrant that it's over $800 for those in a year. Why do we get new ones once somebody has said or proved that they're a resident, they get a sticker with a registration? Why do we need new stickers every year?
Probably because people move away and then we don't want people like moving to the next town over and still coming to our transfer station and dumping all their stuff.
And I was also thinking about, it says transfer station on it, but I was also thinking about maybe that would be if it was just town of Lyman, it could also be used to say, go to Bunganut for the day, because we let residents go in. I don't know, that was just where my mind went.
Yeah.
I'm kind of straying off the subject a little bit in a way, but I like this policy.
Yeah, at present, is there any instruction as to where the sticker should be placed?
Yes, it's in here.
In here, but prior to us saying this, was actually sticking on the back of the F-150.
There isn't
I've always
Yeah,
heard.
so-
Yeah.
There's nothing in writing.
I think it's tinted.
What
Mine's on the
happens
dash.
is-
It's laying on the dash.
Yeah, Randy will say something to somebody, and I think they get upset, like, so this would just help him
Yeah.
say, hey, this is what we'd like to see.
Would it be helpful if those behind the counter, when they're issuing bids, to give a little reminder to folks as to where or maybe a little note with the sticker as to where it should be placed?
I mean, I don't want to burden more employees with just like more things to remember, and
Okay,
You
just
know,
a
and
maybe
then-
a little-
then somebody argues with the counter people, like, why are you
Or
telling
maybe
me
there's
this?
just something at the counter so that it's like a picture of the sticker that says like,
something,
just
a reminder,
something to
a
tell
little
people,
instruction.
because if I move here and I come and I get my dump sticker and nobody tells me where to put it, my inclination is I'm gonna put it in front of me as the driver, not on the passenger side, because I'm not thinking about the transfer station person
Yeah.
seeing it.
I wonder if when we print the stickers, if there's a way we can like print
On the back or
instructions on the
something.
back.
That would work.
I'm just
Then
saying, like, I'm
everyone
not gonna
would
go to
get
the town website and be like, wait, I got this new shiny sticker, where do I put it on my car? You know what I mean, like, and then it's almost gonna defeat the
Morris told me a
purpose.
long time ago to put it on the right-hand passenger side. That's where I put them on all my vehicles.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
That would be a good idea.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
just
you're fine.
with the short-term rentals language, I suggest that changing the word defraying to maybe something like decaying or deteriorating, because defraying tends to refer to a reduction in a cost.
Mm.
And sorry for the editorial here too, but your renters, you don't need an apostrophe there. Sorry.
That's why we're looking at.
I think that was supposed to say decaying,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps,
Or disintegrating, or,
one of those D words.
Mm-hmm.
any other thoughts on this before we,
Maybe getting back to Vicky's concern about the language, the enforcement,
Yeah.
and the implication that maybe some steps would be involved, may lead to a denial of access, as opposed to may result in not making any kind of difference.
I think it means the same thing,
Same thing. All right.
kind of. I do, I don't know.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
I still just think that,
All right.
I just don't think we need to overcomplicate it. I think that word may gives us flexibility.
Okay.
I appreciate that you pointed that out.
Yeah. And I would think Randy would have a conversation with people. He's
Well,
not
he
gonna. Yeah.
I think we, and again, we want a policy too that can be in place if, for whatever reason, like he wins the lottery and doesn't work there anymore.
Right.
Whoever's, next
Mm-hmm.
could also be cool with, so I think that gives us the flexibility so that a lot of this really boils down to one of the things that he's always said to me when I'm up there is people that are coming with no stickers up, and he knows they're not from Lyman. So I think that's gonna be the biggest thing that this helps with.
Yeah, that's good,
And
though,
that
because we
adds to
don't,
your cost, yeah.
our tipping fees are pretty high, so.
So I can make the grammatical corrections pretty easily.
Yeah,
You need a motion?
do you wanna make one?
Make a motion, we accept this as written. The transfer station policy.
As written or as amended.
Yeah, I'm just gonna change defraying to deteriorating.
That's the word.
Yeah, with
I
those
couldn't-
changes.
I couldn't get there.
Thank you.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
And now we're in discussion. And I'll just say with those grammatical corrections that we've already discussed. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next up, we have discussion of the tenant at will on Davis Road.
So this had come up when I reached out to them quite some time ago. I let them know we were logging the property. I asked if they can remove some of their equipment temporarily so we can get the logging equipment in there, be able to stockpile trees and whatnot. So we went round and round a lot. They didn't want to move it. Then they did agree to move some of it, and then some of it was cumbersome. So I said you can leave the large granite slabs and whatnot. But it just turns out they have like a lot of weird stuff over there. They have granite slabs, they have, crushed rock, and they have equipment and tools. Some of it's just like there's a bucket apparatus, like really random stuff. So then they got kind of offended when I asked KCB when they were cleaning up the pines. Bolliers isn't open all the time, so they have to put all the brush and the stuff they're pulling out of there somewhere. So I had them put them over to Davis Road, which became an issue because now the tenants are like, well, that's in the way of our stuff. So I don't know if I personally feel comfortable. You guys have a tenancy at will for someone to store a few random things on a piece of property. So it's totally up to the board, but you can either continue that tenancy or not continue it.
I don't think the town should be in the business of landlording. I think this is an agreement that was made with people in the past, and, we had a lot of gentlemen's agreements and stuff, and the people voted to move forward with a town manager form of government. And this is something that's been noticed, and especially if there is a little bit of kickback, I don't want these branches here. Well, irregardless of that, I don't think we need to be landlords in that way. I mean, if we had housing, we're renting, that's one thing, but I mean, I don't think it's necessary to continue this relationship.
Can somebody refresh my memory?
I agree with Vic.
Where's Davis Road?
Holy smokes, Dave, that's two. Woo.
35,
Yeah, 35.
first left. North of 111.
I could take you up there, show it to you.
Between Johnson's Corner and
It's-
It's,
Hudson.
what I'm sorry, Jess.
No, go ahead, I was just trying to help her. understand
Yeah.
what it was. Okay.
What they have there really doesn't warrant, them being there. I mean, if they can't move those slabs, that's not, that really is no big deal. It can be there until they come and get it. It can be pushed out of the way if it was in the way. I wouldn't be looking to burden them, but they only have, a few items there. And I think with us going to log that property and then determine what we can do with it and, search for gravel and do something with that asphalt cleanup. I think it, unfortunately, and I don't think it's to the detriment of them either. It's not like they're running their business out of there. So I think it would be best to probably terminate.
I know at one point there was a camper set up in the summertime when I worked once upon a time with the former road commissioner. They had to burn something over there and that. So if we're gonna be doing land use studies and all that, and this might be the time to, I mean, I don't want to be mean about it either. And I agree with Dave about if they can't, if it's cumbersome to move the granite slabs and if they're not in the way, make an agreeable time
Right.
to be
As long as there's a
removed
time frame.
into, a time frame spelled out in writing and, I don't want to be mean or anything, but I think it's time for us to clean things up like that.
Yeah, and by law, you have to give them 30 days notice. And then within that, we could probably specify, here's an extension to removing such and such. I would want to stipulate some kind of a time frame just so
Yep.
that they don't leave it there.
A date on it.
But I wonder if we say this is the 30-day notice, but we recognize that there's some cumbersome items on the property. If you need additional time beyond the 30 days, please, request that through the town manager and write,
Yeah.
like, just something to kind of say, like, put
Yeah,
the ownership back on them too,
request an
otherwise, like,
extension.
here's the notice, but if you need more time, then you have to ask for it. Don't just
Yeah.
I
vaporize
think
and
like
leave a
June
bunch of stuff.
30th would be reasonable.
But they might even be able to be like, oh, you don't have tenancy there, we'll just get it up. I get, they didn't want to move it before because they didn't want to move it up and then move it back.
And there's no
Yeah.
place to put it, yeah.
The only thing that they should be removing everything else, especially all the machine
Right.
attachments, things that could get damaged, could get stolen, for whatever reason, we don't want to take responsibility for that. A slab of granite, if you're going to go in there and steal a slab of granite, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So-
I agree, but I just think if we just cut and dry, terminate, and with the understanding that they can come forward and say, they could say,
Yeah.
hey, could we leave those granite slabs there? Then at least it's, otherwise, like, we're done with that. already.
Maybe what I'll do is I'll just reach out to the town council and have them draft up like a formal
Yep.
notice, and I'll tell them we want to put a stipulation in there. They can request an extension to remove certain items. And that way it kind of covers any legal basis.
Yep, that makes sense to me.
You guys may want to make a motion, just so that it's clear.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to terminate tenancy at will and to ask town council to give us some formal wording.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to say, just to stipulate that that's the property on the Davis Road.
Yes.
Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Moving along to approving a fee schedule for field use and Pines rentals.
So probably over a year ago now, you guys had determined a fee schedule for like the field use.
It's like a starting
It
point.
was pretty, yeah, it was pretty minimal, but I just think now that we've had a lot more discussions on how to sort of like operate your parks and grounds. I put together a starting off point, and it doesn't have to be this amount that I put in here. It's really just to like start the conversation and break the ice. I think if you are going to do any sort of fee schedule, whether it's hourly or per use or whatever, I'd want to get the information out there to the leagues and places that use it like sooner than later, which is why I put it on the agenda.
I'm not playing with my phone. I'm looking for my calculator.
I did a little math. Oh, I'm sorry, Jess.
Go ahead.
I did a little math, and unfortunately, $20 an hour for the field use it's not going to get us to net zero. With the information that we have, with the hours that different things are using and the formula that we can come up with, I suggest we raise it to what we need to raise it to get as close to net zero as we can get it, and the rest would be the burden of the YMCA.
Okay, by the net zero on the field rental.
Both.
But to make everybody that uses the field pay for every single thing that is associated with Bunganut, I don't.
No. I would. I think if we have a conversation, our biggest bill is obviously the landscaping portion of it, and I think it's KCB. I think that's easy enough for him to break down to give us an idea of which.
Isn't that broken down in the contract, I think, Dave?
Say,
No?
no, I'm just thinking that he can tell us. That's all. So that way we'll be able to structure a proper fee for the field, a proper fee for the Pines, a proper fee for the YMCA.
Breakdown you might be thinking of is like the scope of work for each section,
Yeah.
but it's not priced out that
Oh,
way.
okay. My
It's
bad.
priced out of one lump
Like,
sum.
I know it's written somewhere.
Well, If we wanted $20 an hour, that would be 2,861.75 hours to come to 57,235. I'm not sure that there's enough hours availability for that.
I'm sorry. With respect to what we're shooting for, am I misreading this? It says current expenses budget for Bucknut Park excluding YMCA contract. But looking at the subsequent backup information, it seems like the 41 grand that we gave the Y, budget for the Y, is included in that.
That is contracted out services, which is KCB.
41 grand?
Mhm.
That's KCB. I was gonna say something to that and I forgot, sorry.
Yes.
So my only concern is that if $20, it's more than what we're getting now, but it also gives people like that break-in before you just go, oh, wait, it's $50 an hour. It like at $20, we have the opportunity to go up next year or, go up $5 increments. We're getting there. But I think if we just shoot for, like, okay, let's get the field use fee to make us net zero, I think we could end up with just an empty field. Because people might say that
I
we
think-
can't afford that.
And I think we want to,
And
as far as, I'm just gonna, I'm talking with my Little League parent hat on right now for a second, and I'm just gonna say that I think it would be hard for a Little League to be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna rent it from like this hour to this hour and this hour to this, like, that just feels clunky and weird. I think it's fair because I think what we've done historically is they've just made a donation of whatever they felt was fair, or we said it has to be at least whatever amount. Some type of a flat rate to then say to them, okay, it's this day, like these days of the week between like 5 to 8 or something like that. I don't know. Or all day, Saturday mornings or Saturday afternoons, or somehow break it down so that it's not just, hey, you've made a donation, so you get it whenever you want it,
I think,
right? Because
Well,
then there's opportunities to rent it out at
Let
different
me
times.
speak to that though. So the way it's been requested is by hour. I got this 900 hours just by looking at the field use request forms because they put down the hours they're going to be using it, and they actually reserve the field for that time. So whether they use it from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., we don't schedule anyone else within that time. So that's the benefit of reserving it for those hours, is like nobody else is going to touch it. And I guess, so we've reserved it 900 hours. And then when I did some online research, some towns do flat base fees and some towns do hourly rates. It's really a toss up. And I suggested hourly only because it was the simplest formula to try to manage until we get something in place and we start really managing our buildings and grounds and facilities and whatnot. So even if you do want to come up with something a little more in-depth than that, you also need someone who's going to manage that.
Yeah, I don't
I
want
like-
to. I'm sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry,
No.
no. I like the hourly idea because it's fair
Mhm.
to everyone, because it's consistent, and you can choose how many hours you want to use it. I broke it down. We had the $20 for a starting point, which at 900 hours is $18,000. $25 an hour is $22,500. $30 an hour is $27,000, and $35 an hour is $31,500.
That's where you're gonna need to be close to it.
So
Well, I guess, are we prepared? The only thing I'll say to that, because I know that people put hours on the sheet, but I know that they're either using it more than that, or there's certain days that they're not using it. So maybe it all washes itself out, but it also doesn't get us to a point where we have accurate, okay, you're not there Saturday, like we rented it out Saturday morning because you're not there, but then people doubled up and all this kind of stuff. And I also want us to just be thinking, if we price ourselves out of this, is the town prepared to just eat it and have this amazing field and nobody uses it? And then have
Yeah.
families in Lyman being like, what the heck, Lyman? Like, you're not gonna let the little, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to think about that from all angles, and I just want to be mindful as well that, and I know the argument is like, why should Lyman pay for other towns' kids to come use our fields? Well, Lyman kids are using other kids' fields, other towns' fields too. So I don't know the right answer. I'm just coming at it from that perspective of, yes, we got to get a hold of this, and yes, we want to get closer to net zero, but we can't price out our families.
how do you feel about hourly versus a lump sum?
I don't know,
Because it would
I think
be-
it's clunky and hard no matter what. And I know we've talked about this every single budget season that I've been on the board, and I don't have the right answer. I don't know how other towns charge, or what the Little League does for
Well,
other towns. but-
it's all variable. I mean, I think it was Gray did it by the hour. But then places like Biddeford they had like a more complicated.
I just meant, sorry, I apologize. I meant like within our own district, like Waterboro, Alfred.
It depends if they put their fee schedule up. So not everyone within this area has that advertised. Like you have to get into their schedule and they use that My Rec program.
Yeah.
So you have to actually schedule it to figure out what the cost is going to be.
I also want to be mindful that if they, and I don't know if they've done it yet, but the Little League did come and request to do the work on that field. I'm mixing up Chadbourne, right? With the
Well-
expectation that they would be using it. So I
Right,
just,
right. But I want to be careful that we're not tying some sort of invisible strings. Like we're not giving somebody benefits because they offered. We didn't ask them to do that.
I
However-
hear you 1,000%, but I think that's the perception is we're doing this, so this field now is Massabesic Little Leagues.
Well,
I
then
think
maybe
we
we
should
need to
clear that.
clarify that to
And
them.
I'm
if they
okay
have
with that,
the
but I think that that's the
perception.
first, that's, hey, we're gonna do this so that then we have another field available for practices
Yeah.
and things like that. So I just want to be mindful. I don't have the right answer. I just am coming at this from the perspective of families and that we have families with young kids that want to play ball and it's convenient to do it in our own town. And if we price the organizations out of being able to use the facilities, they're not going to, and then the taxpayer is going to be paying for something that the organizations can't even afford to use.
Well, then maybe we can stop mowing it if we're not utilizing it.
And
Right? And then
maybe,
that's a cost we save.
and
Like
that's
a butterfly
possible too.
preserve.
That's possible too. I'm trying to, I don't have the right answer. I
I
just
think you do.
want to be mindful. No, I really
I-
don't.
I'm not sure how many kids use that in an hour, but if you just used 10 kids, you would be, which I'm sure there's more like 20. But if there were just 10 kids, that's $3.50 for that time on the field. And it's usually, during games, it might be, a 2-hour block. But when you're practicing, it's usually an hour and a half. I don't see a big burden, and I'm coming from youth hockey, and
Yeah, and
the price is insane. It's more like $300, $400 an hour.
Oh, for sure.
But-
And Ice Arena is a whole different beast.
That's a whole different thing. But I mean, I know I expressed it before. I just feel we've known about this problem. The taxpayers are paying for it. It's really not just the Lyman kids. It's not even close. So we're subsidizing other towns, and
Who
you know,
are
the
also
poor people can't
subsidizing
afford it.
us. They're also subsidizing us too. So there's that. I'm just saying, I'm okay. If this is the route we want to go with, I can get there. It's gonna put, and then maybe this is what we need to do, or maybe it puts the Little League in a place where they actually need to be very intentional about the hours. We also need to be very clear as a town, if we go this route, what the hours are and who's going to enforce that. Because we don't have people at 7 p.m., 8
I'll let Amber
p.m.
go, but I have
to
some-
lock it up, right?
I don't know if anybody else did, but I went and looked through that My Rec thing. I looked at Biddeford today. And I think that we would be doing the town a disservice if we didn't try to figure out how we could get that program and get scheduling in that. I'm not a resident of Biddeford, but just looking at all that they offer on there, I was like, oh, I would go and do that. Oh, I would go and do that. Oh, I want to go and do that. I think if people knew, if they were able to go and see, okay, look, oh, there's Bungana, I could reserve that. Oh, there's Chadbourne Field, I can go and reserve that. Oh, there's this, I could go and reserve, if we could get the volleyball fields ready, people could start renting the volleyball. I don't know what it
Yes,
is. But I think that if we could figure out where we could get $28.50 for the lowest tier, where we could figure out to pull that if it's in the budget this year and get that ready for when we're, whatever, March, April,
Yeah,
then that takes it off of Parks and Rec because the Alfred Lyman, whatever the Little League is, they would be going on to that. They would be scheduling out everything. They would be paying right through there. It would all be done. Anybody else that would go into book, they would get that schedule. They would see, oh, okay, they have it all this. Oh, this is available. I can take
it
that.
takes a huge burden off.
It does. But then
Another piece, I'll let you finish.
you have the Pines. People might not know that they can rent the Pines.
Oh, I have
if
no
they
doubt
don't,
people don't.
if they don't know, I just think that we could use the My Rec and and really like figure out some other ways to get some income for the
Yeah.
town from
I
that.
do like that idea. I also was wondering, and I didn't look at it thoroughly enough to find out, but that, what we signed up for last meeting,
Town cloud.
the
Yeah,
town
town
cloud, and didn't know if there was, that was in part of that, one of the add-ons.
I mean, even if it was, the My Rec is pretty,
I really like that. It's,
Yeah.
it's,
And I
it
think
seems
gives
very
you-
thorough.
It
But-
gives you a rental agreement too, right?
yeah,
Once
so
it's done.
to your point on like, people using specific hours and whatnot, one of the other things we can probably plan to utilize is just purchasing a few like smart locks. And we have one already that we implemented here in the hallway for like the main key. And you can either access it by Bluetooth on your cell phone, or you can be given a temporary code. So maybe in cooperation with like My Rec, if you're reserving for set hours, those are the hours you're reserving. So there's no like, oh, I'm going to double up and use it this time, because we're not going to give you we're going to give you a code that's designated to get you access through the gate through the hours that you reserved. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that maybe
And
that
so you
helps
would
keep
put
things
it,
honest.
and you would put that maybe on like a gate. I guess,
Oops.
yeah.
I think they would get.
So
the
My
code
logistical
when-
brain is getting too in the weeds and I
Well,
don't
no.
want to do that to us here, so I,
The same company that we have that master lock thing. It's really simple to use. They do the same thing for like a bolt lock that you can
Yeah.
put on a gate.
yeah, I'm just thinking like you pull up to the gate and now your family's driving to the parking lot and the gate's open so that people can come in. I guess I'm just thinking of, again, I'm way too in
Well,
the
right
weeds
now,
about
as
it,
it
so.
stands, everybody has a combination to those.
And
gates.
that's kind of my point is, and that's sort of why stuff gets scheduled the way it does and haphazardly, and we do need better
Yeah,
controls.
but the smart locks, there's an interface where I can log into it and I can see who's accessing it,
Yep.
if they locked it, unlocked it, so I can see if they left it wide open. And I can
That's
say,
kind of my
hey, you
point,
you
yeah.
left it wide open, and we can say, maybe we put parameters on like penalties, right?
Right.
Like, you need to be respectful of our stuff, and if not, we're gonna monitor it.
Yep.
So I'm only suggesting that to help.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just logistically trying to wrap my brain around all of it, and I'm just trying to think of this. Again, I have my Little League parent hat on because it's just an important organization for the whole community, the whole district, not just mine. So,
I do agree. that There's a lot of kids that use that.
and it's not just little. I mean, it's soccer. It's
All
all
those
those sports.
sports.
So I don't want to.
To get back to an hourly rate for the field, I think $20 is a little bit low, and I think $35 is too high of a starting point. I would want to start either 25 or 30, but I think 25 would be a good one to get it off the ground, and then we can have our own data. If we got this program,
Mhm.
we can get all our own data that is clear and true, and look at it from there, and then make adjustments accordingly. However, to get us to eventual darn close to net zero, if not net zero.
I agree.
Yeah, please, I hope nobody misunderstands. I'm not disagreeing wholeheartedly by any means. In a lot of ways, I think this has the opportunity to bring more to the town because again, seeing the open hours, and I didn't poke around too much on Rec Tech either, but I believe there's ways that you can see like when it's blocked.
Yeah, I
It's not.
couldn't get in because I
Depending on the
wasn't
version and
scheduling
stuff, yeah.
anything, so I could just go in and look and like, it wanted me to log in every time I was like, what's available, so.
Right.
But I think we could use that in a way, like advertising the Parks and Rec programming. If they're gonna try to have like, like a bus trip or something, that can go on there. Everything can be driven to that program. And I just think it would be a lot easier for a lot of people.
I'm sure.
Yes.
I agree that the Myrick program has a lot of effort to it. Like the idea of starting at 25 an hour seems reasonable starting point. And 300 per day for Pines
Yeah.
at present. Yeah.
12 times is $3,600.
Mhm. Again, for starters.
Yeah, the Pines is tricky because I don't have a lot of data to go by, and
And there again,
yeah,
if we had that program and it was rented through that, we would have clear and true data again.
Yeah.
Well, and knowing that we can advertise it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I'd love
the
to
other part,
promote
is I
it
think a lot of
some
people
more now
just
that it's
don't know.
cleaned up.
Well, yeah, I know that there was conversations with the committee before about having like Pines 1, Pines 2,
Mhm.
Pines 3, and then the chapel is something, those could be all listed on that My Rec and, oh, I want Pines 1 today. Oh, Pines 2 is available. I'll take that. And so if you had 3 people looking at the Pines for one day and they had 3 different options, they all rent it for an hour, that's $900. So I think that's,
The only issue with the rental of like 3 different Pines is like when I'm down there, parking's really limited. So it's like
Yep.
you'd have to walk through someone's party if you rented this Pines, but
Okay.
then you rented the chapel. You're walking through Pines 1 to get to
Yeah,
your
okay. So then-
party.
Yep.
So I still want to explore that, but I think we need to like mitigate parking or access.
Yeah,
right?
figure
Some
out
kind of
how
access.
to, how to keep it. So,
Um,
yeah.
Well, you all know if I'm walking through a party, I'm crashing it. I've met all kinds of people that way. It's really fun. Yeah, so
So I'm hearing $25 an hour. Is that what everybody is
Yeah, I think that's a good starting
feeling
place.
comfortable with
Mhm.
right now
I like it.
as a starting point?
Mhm.
Dave?
Okay.
I don't think it gets us there. I think this is the year to do it. Anything but net zero, I'm a no vote. And I don't mean to put the onus on just the field. I'm saying if we can't sit together, figure out which I believe is easy enough to do, to figure out the potential on the Pines, the potential what the YMCA is going to have to contribute, and the cost of the field. I think with knowing all that, it should be a net zero and no burden to the taxpayer.
But we already sent the YMCA a contract. Like I mean, we could technically go back and say, hey, we changed it, but I don't know that that would be very cordial or fair.
Have we heard anything from them?
No, I'm gonna give them a few more days and then reach out. I know the
Cool.
holidays, it was like,
Yeah.
Everyone's on vacation. And
To my way of thinking, even if it doesn't get, and I understand where you're coming from, Dave, that's what you want. And you want it this year, right now. I say we're working towards it. If it's not this year, it's still lessening the burden to get there. It's lessening the burden on the taxpayers to get there. And we have true data.
Yeah.
So I'm not,
I think we can go up, like if we did 25 this year, but we had the data to support like 35 or more. But if we started at 35 and we didn't have the data, it's hard to go, oh, we're going to go back down to 25.
yeah, right.
Then you just kind of look like,
Right.
so that's my opinion. I would rather have a lump going towards it, lessening, and work our way to net zero. Don't get me wrong, I would like everything to be net zero for the town taxpayers, but I think we have to do it in small increments to not harm on the other end.
If it was the town solely we were benefiting, I would agree.
Pines rentals. So you guys had changed the fee schedule. We did like a tiered one, but throughout the season, the YMCA didn't really apply that tier, although it's complicated, I guess. And so it was $250, and then it was tiered at like depending on your group size. So I kind of just recommended a flat whatever. Again, until we get some data to understand how this is being utilized, that what would make sense. It's being utilized a lot by other parks and recs departments, and like you mentioned, day trips, and I noticed in researching other parks and recs, like that's a big selling point to some of these big parks and recs departments is like these day trips that are like $250, $300 per person, and you go out bowling, you get dinner, you get drinks, you go swimming, like it's a whole adult day trip. And I'm assuming, I'm not 100% sure, I'm assuming that's part of what they might be doing.
For the, at Bugonet,
Yeah, at the Pines Mountain.
the, Waterworld Parks and Rec brings their entire Parks and Rec there once a week for swimming day.
Oh, just the
They don't
swimming
have
day?
a swimming place.
Okay. Rundle uses it too.
I don't know what Oracle's doing, but.
Yeah.
Either way, $300 a day is a steal for that. I think.
Well, the
I think-
chapel's been spruced up. And
Yeah,
I'm not gonna have a random tree fall on you. It's just a win all around.
great. And also, we're basing the $57,235 current expenses, excluding the YMCA contract. We're also gonna be adding to that with an employee
potentially.
potentially, so I don't know if we're ever gonna get,
Well, and that employee isn't gonna be just for Bunganut, it's
Right.
gonna be for a whole broad
Right.
spectrum, just like your mowing contract is
true.
for a whole broad spectrum.
yeah,
Cause I mean, you could argue that if we had the mowing contract broken down, you could figure out this is what it actually costs to mow the field and mow the lakeside, it's just, we've never broken it down to costs like that.
well, it's a start, so I'm okay with $300 a day for this summer. And then, but, you know,
Yeah,
and
get some data.
$25 an hour, and then we get real data and we look at it again. Could be. All right, I'll make a motion for the proposed fee schedule for the field use to be $25 an hour. And the pine rentals to be $300 a day for this season, upcoming summer of '25.
Second.
Discussion? That'll allow-
Yes, if we go with that, those two numbers, is the board, how, to make up the difference? Are the taxpayers gonna make up the difference, or is the, YMCA? Who's making up the difference, taxpayer or YMCA?
I don't
I
think-
Well,
don't think
currently-
there's a difference. I don't think we have enough data, Dave, to say what the difference is specifically for the field side. And I think there's a big what if still lingering out there with the YMCA, but we already gave them a contract proposing something. So my perspective on this is anything that we're doing is a step in the right direction. And I hear you on wanting net zero year one. I personally think we have to ease into this, and I know that puts some of it on the taxpayer, but it's much more than that has been on the taxpayer for years.
It's less than.
Yeah, it's less than
It's-
what's on them now.
Is there other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Hey, I was gonna say all opposed. Okay, we will jump over to scheduling some budget workshops.
Woohoo!
Lindsay handed out some calendar, or a calendar to show when this room is available. And when people, I think, or some people are available.
One thing I did add to it is the 14th, can't do the evening, because Jeanette's not available in the evening.
Well, Tuesday, you can't make it Tuesday anyway, right?
Correct. I'll be here the 21st because of the holiday, and I had already previously worked that out, so that I'll be here the 21st, but yeah.
I would propose the 16th, Thursday, the 16th, which is next week.
Mhm.
I have an EcoMaine board meeting that
Okay.
afternoon.
Although,
and I missed my last one, so.
if we do Friday the 10th, I just want to say that's my birthday eve and I expect pizza.
I'll spring for pizza.
There was complaining about.
Friday the 10th is this Friday?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I had to, which day are we on?
We're on the 7th.
Yes, thank you.
No, we're on
No,
the
we're on the
7th.
sixth.
Sorry.
I'm like,
I'm like, yeah, okay. I'll go with whatever you say.
It's
Monday through Sunday.
Oh, that's over here.
I mean, there's other days too, and another thing I wanted to ask is that, I know people work but we have employees that come to these and put their time into these meetings as well, and I was wondering if there was any way we could start earlier. Is it possible? I mean, I don't know, I'm on my schedule, but I don't know
I'm good.
anybody else's.
That frees up the meeting room a lot.
Because we could do any day then, and if, just say, we came at 4:00. I'm not saying that works or doesn't work, but just for a sake,
Mhm.
if 4:00, we could be done before somebody comes in for 6. We could make sure that we're wrapped up and,
Right, that would work. Let's see.
When did we schedule one for the 27th? Oh, never
That
mind,
is,
that's budget committee.
I was
Okay,
like, oh my
forget, I
gosh,
can't read right now.
we're doing
Yes,
that
apparently.
either. The only day I cannot do 4 is Tuesdays. Just put it out.
What about like Monday the 13th? I know Amber has her EcoMaine roundtable, so it might make a long day for you.
I can't do the 13th.
who said they couldn't do the 16th?
I have an EcoMaine board meeting, and
Okay,
I missed the last one. That's why I feel like I need to be at this one.
What's wrong?
what time is
about-
that?
Starts at 4, and it usually goes till 6.
What about Wednesdays at 4? Does that work for people?
Wednesdays I work till 8.
Oh, Thursdays at 4.
Thursdays I work.
Okay.
But I could do 5:05. Run over from.
Run through the
trail.
woods. I hate to wait until the end of the month.
No.
What was the 14th?
If the
You have the
16th,
roundtable.
yeah, the 13th I have the.
What was the
EcoMaine
14th? I know it says no
Tuesday.
Jeanette can't do anything, so you want to schedule it, can't do later than 1 p.m.
Oh.
She's gonna be out of here by 3.
If we did the 16th, could it still be at 6?
Yeah, it could be
Yeah,
a 6.
it looks like it
Okay,
could.
because then I
Plus
could
the
just
others are
go,
long.
I could just leave EcoMaine, I could just cut out at like 5:30.
Well, we could do 5 or 5, you know.
Yeah, I need, yeah. Well, if it was 6, then I could leave Portland at
Oh, you're in
5:30,
Portland, okay.
and I
got
could
you.
be back here for 6.
So 6 on the 16th.
Yeah, okay.
Is that, Dave, does that work for you?
Sure.
Okay.
And there'll be more workshops, I mean, we can
Right.
try to
Yep.
finagle some maybe earlier in the day if it's possible.
Do you want to schedule another one in January as well?
We should
We
try.
do the
We'll
16th and the 30th?
These two.
Yeah, I don't have anything on the 30th.
Does the 30th work for you, Dave?
It does.
The sooner we whack through all this budget stuff.
Let's see how far we get in those two. If
What time do you want to do the 30th? 6?
6. That work for people? All right, 16th and the 30th, 6 p.m. Be there. Okay. Moving into the extra fun stuff, so we are going to jump to approving the meeting minutes from December 16th.
Okay.
I'll
Make a
make a mo-
motion to approve them as written.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on those?
Just a quick one with respect to unfinished business. Item 3B, the way it reads, it could be interpreted that the select board would be okay with use of Old Met Davis Road for the harvesting. I don't think that's the sentiment that we've expressed.
That we would be okay using the road?
Yeah.
At this point, I am.
I thought that was what we
You
talked
get to the
about.
center line, right?
At this point, after all the back and forth, I feel like we got
It was
nowhere.
discussed that the town had a right to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you as an individual board member feels differently, but
The town can access the road and use standard safety precautions for logging efforts. The harvester is insured for damages.
yeah, it doesn't say the select board's okay with it, but it is factual that we can access it.
I mean, that's how I remember it, that it was gonna be on Old Ben Davis Road.
Just- I mean, we want to log our property.
I understand.
We did try and we did due
Yes.
diligence.
Yes, we did.
Other discussion on the minutes?
So is there,
Any other discussion on the minutes?
Nope.
no,
Okay. All in favor?
sorry,
I,
Minutes, aye.
aye,
you went.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Madam Chair,
yes.
just a quick question. With respect to Town Cloud, is there going to be a demonstration of it tomorrow?
Yeah, it's for employees.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Payroll warrant number 28 in the amount of $30,528.77.
so moved,
Second it.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
And we have payroll warrant number 30 in the amount of $30,336.69.
30.
second,
Any discussion on that one?
Who moved it?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Stuck there for a minute. Accounts payable warrant number 29 in the amount of $714,182.95.
So moved.
second,
Any discussion?
I have a couple of things.
Okay.
I don't know, Lindsay, if you will know, but I was just wondering, the immersion heater for the transfer station, do you know what that's for?
That's, look, I highlighted immersion heater.
I mean, I know what that is, but I was,
So I do know that the loader needed some kind of a hose, although I'm not sure the name of the equipment, so I wonder. Yeah, I'd have to ask Randy.
okay.
Yeah,
Because one, it seems very
Um,
pricey for that.
well, it's in the equipment line, so it's something for that.
Repairs and maintenance
Or
equipment.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um,
I mean, he's been having some work done on the cans and different stuff I just don't know.
Because it's supposed to be like used to keep liquids from freezing. So like it would make sense on the loader. But yeah, I tried to call Jeanette, but I didn't get touch base with her to
She's
find
been
out.
out sick for a while.
Oh, that's too bad. So that, I just have a question about that. And then GWI, phones and internet, there's two charges. The 2960, and that's at Kennybunk Pond. Do you know what that's for?
There is a phone line over there.
Isn't that to run the cameras?
Their camera too.
Okay, so that's a
At
phone.
Internet?
Kennybunk Pond?
I
Oh,
thought-
no, I'm sorry, I was thinking Bunganet.
Kennybunk.
GWI, Kennybunk Pond?
Well, I
You guys
was,
have cameras?
yeah, it was like,
Yeah, but
I
it's
looked,
not hooked up
um,
to the phone line, it's hooked up to Spectrum.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I just looked 161 Parks and Rec, 23 is KPB, Kennybunk Pond. Utilities, communication, so that's
I
why,
don't know of any GW lines over there.
okay, so then I have a
We've
question
had
about that
Spectrum
too.
run out. No.
Because I had asked about that at one of the budget meetings, and Jeanette said all the phone lines had been moved to Verizon.
Yeah.
So we're
I'd have to ask Jeanette,
Yeah.
honestly, and she's been out sick for a couple of days now.
And they've all been moved maybe since the last.
Yeah, I mean, that could be, so
I'm asking if you
Okay.
guys drop that.
I'll just make a note and I'll connect with Jeanette when she's back, and I'll send her an email, she can answer when she's feeling better.
I just had a comment about the one for the carpentry, for the installation ticket booth. It's the installation of insulation,
Mhm.
which is hard to say,
Mhm.
but I just pulled it off. But I just wanted to clarify.
Mhm.
Okay, any other discussion on that warrant? All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. That. Oh, we have to. Signing things as we went, I apologize.
Okay, we're good. It's not quite time to turn into a pumpkin yet.
I know. Our best.
Oh, that meeting's still on in Alfred, Thursday afternoon
Mhm.
with the superintendent
That's great.
at 3:00. Yep, I'll be there. A busy week for meetings. I don't want to sign on Dave's line. This one's missing a corner. We wheeled right through those. Got all of them?
That's the one.
All right, I think so.
Make sure.
Seems like I handed you more than that. though.
It's piled up.
Some of them are thick.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I just like it here, so I'm not seconding it. No, I second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, Dave.
Good night,
Good night, Dave.
Night all.
Enjoy the warm weather.
Yeah.
What makes you think I'm in warm weather?
Enjoy
Well,
wherever you are.
Yeah, if you're not in Maine, you're probably in warm weather.
Yeah.
Even in New Hampshire.
Ish.